But then the conversation shifts and it gets darker. For years, figures like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal have made claims, unproven but persistent, that both Jay-Z and Diddy were involved in things far beyond music. None of this has been proven in court, but the consistency of these claims keeps people watching closely. And now that Diddy is facing serious legal trouble, some believe the spotlight could move next. And that's where people start connecting dots.
First black-owned distribution company.
The thing is, they wasn't trying to let us in the door. That's why I don't trust these people.
But Suge came up with the idea. It was a brilliant plan. He said, whatever the recording funds, 10% goes to the union. Each time you do a new album, 10%. It was going to be some get down or lay down shit. Shortly after that, the feds raided.
All of us being hit up around the same time. Someone left that meeting talking about our move.
It was Jay-Z and Puff that went to those New York corner to let them know what Suge Knight was trying to do. They told Jay, if you help us get rid of Dame, we're going to make you the president of Def Jam.
Why don't we stick together and they got to come to us? For some reason, everybody just wants to do everything on their own. They don't understand.
Here's the part people don't forget. Back in 1999, Jay-Z was involved in a high-profile club incident that led to a guilty plea for assault. That part is on record, but everything around it, still debated. The alleged victim later downplayed what happened, while others questioned why the story never fully matched. Jay himself later described that moment as a turning point in his life, but critics still ask why it's remembered so differently depending on who you ask.
Midtown South arrested Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. The rap star voluntarily turned himself in here at the precinct earlier this evening. Now, Carter is being held here in connection with that stabbing fight that erupted at the Kit Kat Club last night. But just a few moments ago, Carter's attorney had this to say.
He's not involved in this, period.
He was at the club?
That's my only comment. He wasn't involved in this.
So it was someone else that did the stabbing and the hitting.
I didn't say that. I said he was not involved in it.
Now, Slovis goes on to say that at no time was Jay-Z hiding from the police, that they were in touch with cops all day and that they're trying to resolve this as gentlemen. But as Mike Sheehan shows us, others say they've seen the dark side of Jay-Z.
I have my faults. I'm not.
And then there are the stories that challenge the image. During the East Coast, West Coast era, there were claims, again not confirmed, that Jay avoided confrontation with Tupac Shakur. According to insiders, he stayed out of sight while tensions were high. True or not, it adds another layer to the narrative. Because if the public image doesn't match the private stories, what else doesn't line up?
Incident with Rivera, where you pled guilty to charges of, I don't remember exactly the charges, assault with a deadly weapon.
They would have never let me be
okay.
out here with you if that was the case.
You stabbed him. Okay. All right. Do you feel like that was a mistake in hindsight?
I believe that was the greatest thing ever. This is going to sound crazy, but I believe that helped me. You know what I'm saying? Because that put the brakes on everything. Mm-hmm. That let me know that no matter how successful you are and how much you're on your road, it can all stop. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you still kid from Marcy Projects, and not everybody, they waiting for you to mess up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just go ahead. You know what I'm saying? We let you just go ahead and self-destruct yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But that right there was a moment I was like, okay. And I'm glad they didn't have to take for me to be in jail for like 7 years to be like, damn. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That moment was like, okay, all that stops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to parties with 30 people, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not putting myself in that position.
Yeah. When you look at Dame still kind of living that life, you could find Dame at the club,
Yeah, but he's with 30 models. It's a little different. I was with the hood.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. He's hanging at a different.
Now tie that into what's happening with Diddy. Once one of the most powerful figures in music, he's now dealing with legal battles and intense scrutiny. Reports about his situation have been everywhere. And while some details are confirmed, others remain alleged or disputed. But what's clear is this. His circle appears to be shrinking. And people are starting to notice that Jay-Z hasn't publicly stepped in to support him. That silence, it's raising eyebrows.
Do anything with Diddy? Any projects you worked on with him?
He's produced a few records, or had his producers do a few records on War and Peace album, the Peace disc. Yeah.
How was he to work with?
It was cool. You know, he gave us great music. We flew out to New York, and I was mainly in the studio with the producer. You know, he had a stable of producers, so I was in the studio with his stable of producers, and I think we did some great music. And you know, I really kind of, lost contact with him and really stopped, dealing with Puffy around 94.
Yeah. Any specific reason?
Yeah, I mean, they was doing their thing, I was doing mine. And, I'm not the partying type. You know what I mean? I ain't never been to a Diddy party. I ain't never really wanted to go. But I don't go to a lot of people parties.
But here's where things take another turn. There are ongoing rumors, unverified, that powerful people in the industry may have used leverage, recordings, or private information to maintain control. These claims haven't been proven, but they keep resurfacing in discussions. And if even a fraction of that is true, it could explain why so many people stayed quiet for so long and why some might be speaking now.
Behind Jay-Z being afraid to come out his hotel room because of Pac.
All right, what happened is that I guess Pac had got whiffed that Jay-Z was in town. Well, he gonna do a show because Jay-Z, he doing a show. But you got to realize Jay-Z had became an enemy of Pac because I think he had said was going to do a song with Big or whatever like that, the whole 9 yards. So Jay is now Pac's enemy too. So Chaz Williams, who was over Black Hands. Black Hands was one of the labels who did that Black Gangster had every artist in New York on. And Chaz, who is now getting into the music business, has become a music executive. And he was once a former gangster who was on American Gangster, BET, because they had him down for robbing 161 banks. That's what they put in their program and everything. But Chaz was a gangster in New York City that became a music executive. So he gets a phone call saying that Jay is not going to come out the room because Tupac threatened him. So he's not going to do his show. Can he make some phone calls, you understand, to get Pac off the bullshit? So I think he may have talked to Big D, and Big D and Eric B called Suge, and Suge was laughing, saying that wasn't him. Because they tried to make it seem like it was Suge that was doing it, but it was Pac. So I guess Suge called Pac. Pac let him go ahead and do his show and everything like that. But Jay was scared to come out his room.
So that story was really true about Jay-Z being afraid to come out his hotel room.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, he was scared.
And what's happening behind bars only adds more tension. There have been reported incidents involving Diddy's safety in custody, including alleged attempts on his life. Claims discussed publicly, but still not fully verified in official records. If true, it paints a picture of someone who went from untouchable to vulnerable almost overnight. And that shift has people wondering, could the same happen to others?
Time I wanted to knock his head off, because he was being disrespectful. We was in Cancun and he had a personal assistant from my block named Laura. And he had brought like 6 people to the club with him, and he was only supposed to get 3 people in. I was running the door at Daddy-O's from Industry Entertainment. They just told me Jay-Z only get 3 people in. So I'm at the door. I said, yo, Jay, you good? And 3 of your other good, but the other 3 got to pay. So then he said, Laura, handle him. And at that time, the type of dude I was, you couldn't tell no woman to handle me when I'm talking to you as a man. I said, who you talking to like that? You telling her to handle me? And then me and him, he didn't say nothing. He just turned to the side. And if he'd have turned back around, he'd have got his head knocked off. But Laura told me, yo, Gene, please, Gene, you're going to make me lose my job. You know what I'm saying? And because once she was beautiful, 2, she from a block, I wasn't going to do that to her. So I gathered myself, stepped away from the situation.
Now the bigger picture starts to form. Some believe this isn't random, that one by one, powerful figures are being exposed, distanced, or left to face things alone. Again, it's all speculation, but it's spreading fast. Because when alliances break and silence replaces loyalty, it usually means something bigger is happening behind the scenes.
I want to say this to protect myself, that there's stories of Jay talking to underage girls. It was a girl from my block that was 16, 17 years old that Jay was talking to. If she was 17. So there's plenty of stories out there that they might flood the market of Jay talking to underage girls. I heard this kid that is claiming to be his son. His mother was 15 when she conceived him and had him at 16. And Jay refused to do a blood test or anything like that.
From your point of view, because I know you heard the statement that, Jay lawyer came out with about how he wasn't really friends with Diddy. From your point of view, was they really friends or no?
How close was Diddy and Jay-Z? They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball. They wasn't playing baseball. They wasn't playing football. And they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it. But I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So, I guess that...
But then the conversation shifts and it gets darker. For years, figures like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal have made claims, unproven but persistent, that both Jay-Z and Diddy were involved in things far beyond music. None of this has been proven in court, but the consistency of these claims keeps people watching closely. And now that Diddy is facing serious legal trouble, some believe the spotlight could move next. And that's where people start connecting dots.
Speaking out and saying that while he was sleeping at the MDC Brooklyn jail, somebody came and put a knife, pressed it to his throat. Now, as I keep digging into the story, they're saying, yes, a correctional officer, a police officer was the one who came and basically helped him out and quote unquote saved him. Yes. And so, obviously Diddy's lawyers are trying to use this as a way to just get him even moved to a different location. But right now, everything is kind of staying as is.
Yeah, his safety being an issue when he's supposed to be, I think in some sort of protected environment. Remember MDC, isn't that where the Epstein situation happened?
Here's the part people don't forget. Back in 1999, Jay-Z was involved in a high-profile club incident that led to a guilty plea for assault. That part is on record, but everything around it, still debated. The alleged victim later downplayed what happened, while others questioned why the story never fully matched. Jay himself later described that moment as a turning point in his life, but critics still ask why it's remembered so differently depending on who you ask.
That Sean Diddy Combs could be sexually assaulted, violently assaulted. Is that a thing? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
Yeah, it clearly is a thing. I mean, they're already, and he did not want to make a big deal of it. They already tried to shank it once at the MDC, and that was thwarted. And it happens in prison. I mean, you and I could tick off how many times we are aware of somebody getting seriously injured or killed in prison. And so they're going to have to keep him somewhere. that they can keep an eye on him. It would have obviously been better if he had gotten less time and had been at a camp, but he's going to be in a facility where somebody's going to have to, from the BOP, and I think they're well equipped to do it if they can, to keep an eye on him because he is a target.
So let's say he is sent to a minimum security prison. Is he out of the woods when it comes to that kind of assault?
If you're going, you and I talked about Ghislaine Maxwell, who went from the one place in Florida, which was a higher level, not a camp, and she was transferred after she did the interview with the couple-day interview. She was transferred to what they call a camp in Texas, which I'm familiar with.
And then there are the stories that challenge the image. During the East Coast, West Coast era, there were claims, again not confirmed, that Jay avoided confrontation with Tupac Shakur. According to insiders, he stayed out of sight while tensions were high. True or not, it adds another layer to the narrative. Because if the public image doesn't match the private stories, what else doesn't line up?
Speaking on Diddy being in prison and the circumstances of him being in prison, I didn't never hear about this, and nobody ever said anything about this. And I want to know if it's in the prison records. They said one of the guards stopped a dude from shanking Diddy. Now, I'm like, if he was doing all this positive shit in jail, and they was talking about he was all the inmates loved him and they was employing him and doing standing ovation. I wonder what inmate was trying to shake him. Was that one of the Tupac? Was that one of the Tupac fans, or that was one of Biggie fans? Because they said that the guard, they said that in court. One of the lawyers, one of the guards stopped one of the individuals that was trying to shank him, bro. And that was crazy. Nobody, I never, that didn't leak. Everything leaks from prison, but that didn't leak. Nobody wrote home and said, yo, dudes is in here trying to stab Diddy up. But the lawyers mentioned that today. I want to see if they're going to investigate that right there. You know what I'm saying? And base that, or he probably used that, base that on trying to help Diddy getting into one of those camps or one of those programs that, he ain't